FCA stands for Focus Correction Area, and they are correction areas that you are concentrating on not only as a student in your writing, but when I grade a Type 3 with FCAs. That's exactly what I'm looking at. The Collins theory, the PLN theory, is that you are not looking at anything else in the essay but the FCAs you have assigned. You grade those and grade those only. And the theory behind that is once they've mastered 3 FCAs, you maybe move on to 3 more. So at the end of the year, there's 15 to 20 elements of writing, in the case of an English class, that the students have mastered, rather than grading a paper where you grade everything that's wrong, and the student maybe doesn't even read over your comments in a beautiful red pen and all of that. They just look at the grade. And it is tough when you see very bad mistakes. I do tell the students if they've written a complete mess of a paper that I'll just give it back to them if there's too many mistakes. But so it helps the student concentrate, and it eases the grading burden.
FCAs are focus correction areas. That is the only thing that you are grading on a Type 3 or a Type 4. You're not looking for anything else. So in my classroom, being social studies classroom, we're looking at content. Then I have one of the ELA ladies look to tell me what skill what FCA they want added for the ELA component. And that is all that we are looking for. Those are the only, sometimes 2, usually 3 things that I'm grading them on.
All right, from a student standpoint, FCAs, it guarantees the type of students that say, the classic, how many points is this? How do I get an A? What did I miss? By having FCAs, you can answer all 3 of those strictly looking at the FCAs. So literally everything that I assign has 3 FCAs on it.
Focus correction areas, trying to establish my content is the biggest points award. So if it's a 30-point assignment, generally 20 points will be my content, which is social studies. And then 10 points will be divided into an English component, whether it's an introductory paragraph, spelling. I try to work with Mrs. Palco and Mrs. Gardner regarding the English and what they're working on as far as maybe a hook in their writing, using a quote, inserting a quote, and I try to make sure I help them with what they're doing in their class. So Type 3, just kids are self-correcting. Type 4, it's peer revision. Type 4s take a lot more time than Type 3s. So you'll see me doing more Type 3s than 4s.
So FCAs are focus correction areas. Usually you choose between 3 and 5 for any assignment that you give a student, and you're only grading those 3 to 5 things. So it makes the grading process really easy because you don't have to think about, well, the student didn't spell correctly, should I take off some points? If that's not an FCA, you don't grade it. And the students really feel comfortable because they say, okay, as long as I do these things really well, then I know that I'm going to get a good grade. So it kind of focuses in on those 3 specific or 5 specific things that you're looking for in the paper.
FCA's focus correction areas are really, really a benefit to the teacher. In that when we go to grade, especially someone like me who is a social studies teacher, not an English teacher, and so I'm looking for specific things. That gives me those specific things that I'm looking for in a paper. So if I want spelling to count, then I can make an FCA for spelling. If I want punctuation, but if I'm looking for content dealing with a specific topic within the course that I'm teaching, the curriculum, then that's what I put my focus on. The students then look at that and they know exactly where they need to hone in on. And they're not worried about everything else. They really just get to the point, get to the heart of the matter. And it actually creates better writing because they are more focused.
FCAs are focus correction areas, and the reason I like to use them is it pinpoints exactly what a teacher is looking for in a particular writing, whether it is a fact, whether it is a conventional type of emphasis or certain skill that you're looking for, and allowing the teacher to concentrate on that skill when teaching and the student to concentrate on that skill when performing that skill. So it benefits both sides.
Well, there's a huge advantage to using these, and first and foremost, the students are more focused. Sometimes they get overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I have to have everything perfect on this paper, I'm not going to get a good grade, and they don't know where to start. But if they're only focusing on 3 things, they get that confidence. They're not afraid to start it. It seems a little bit more easy for them to tackle. And then as the teacher, it's easier for us to focus on what we want them to learn. Obviously, a student can't learn 20 things right off the bat. Breaking it down into 3 makes it a little more manageable.
Efficiency. The student is able to concentrate on exactly what I'm asking, and you usually do some lessons for those writing skills to prep them, and then you say, okay, now show me, and if they can do that, you move on, and you can grade those very efficiently. And I think the students, and then you can put them up on an overhead and show the class where certain students did a very good job with the skill, and if students don't mind, and they're usually pretty good with it, you can put up ones, maybe cover the name, where the skill was just a little bit off. They did the skill, but it wasn't exactly what you're looking for, and chances are a lot of students made that same mistake. So you can assign that FCA again for the next writing, and hopefully more kids understand it, and you kind of keep going through it.
Just time. Oh my gosh, the time that you can save. And you get good at it too. Like I said, it took me a while to know that I didn't have to have this perfect essay. I think I realized too that, well, they're not going to be perfect. They're just not. But can I see growth? And you really will see growth if you focus on just a few things. And I said that you just sort of get in the zone. When I start grading the papers, then I get in the zone, and that was a great hook. And I know too, I can use this as an example, or this is the one that we can use to show how can we make this better. All the modeling that comes out of just focusing on a few things, it's just so rich for that teachable moment.
Oh, time. I've got 100 students, so if I sat down to grade 100 essays, if I assign it now, they'll get it back in a week, 2 weeks at the most. With the FCAs, I take it home, I'm looking for 3 things. Boom, it's done. Here it is the next day. Immediate feedback to the student. They know it, they've got it, it's good.
I love FCAs because I teach a lot of learning support students, and sometimes there can be so much information that they feel overloaded, and then when I'm checking their papers, I'm thinking, but this person did so much better than this person in spelling or in the way that they worded it or in sentence structure. Should I take off points? When really that has nothing to do with what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for, did they understand the science behind it? So FCAs are really awesome in my classroom because I give them 2 things that deal with my subject area. Usually one of them is vocabulary, and then one that has to deal with their writing structure, so sentences or the way that they put like compound sentences or something like that together that has to deal with the English part of it. But other than that, I don't check their spelling, I don't check whether they worded it right, like things like that. As long as it's the 3 things, they're good to go.
I remember Christmas breaks and stacks of paper like this shoved into my bag, going home and thinking, which 3 days am I going to find to grade all of these papers? Just to find out, when I returned them to students, they looked for the grade and threw them away or tucked them into a binder. I cried on the inside and on the outside. Grading an entire paper for everything is useless. Students can't possibly understand every part of what a teacher is teaching all at the same time. And likewise, teachers shouldn't have the burden of taking all of that work home. It's unbelievable the time that I have saved since I've been utilizing FCAs with consistency, and not to mention the value of my students understanding how we're going to revise writing, how we're going to focus on improving writing. It is so simple, it is so challenging, and it is so rewarding at the same time to focus on correction areas that need to be corrected. I can't live without them.
Type 3s, you know, they don't have to get it peer revised. They have to be able to go back and read it themselves, which is a very, very important skill to proofread your own writing. Kids still don't do it. If I'm looking for run-ons, and then did you really go back and look to see if there were run-ons because you didn't have somebody helping you with that? So I think it's good for them too to realize that they're not always going to have a peer to revise with. They're going to have to learn to self-revise. So type 3s are good for that.
Clearly defined FCAs is the key to a successful type 3. Students know how they're focusing, where they're focusing, how they're putting their time, and writing with purpose, and also understanding that you are going to be able to give that paper back to them in a reasonable amount of time, I think is going to help the whole process of the type 3 every time that you assign one.
So if a kid is struggling grade-wise, he or she can look back, I lost points here, so to quote-unquote guarantee a 30 out of 30 on my next one, you know, I just make these changes. And again, that's the whole idea of writing, changing things in the middle of your writing process to make sure that you actually get it.
I think when you're making a type 3, you can really focus in on what you want the students to learn. So sometimes in my class we watch Mythbusters, and Mythbusters, you can learn a lot of things from Mythbusters, but the students might not pick up on what they're supposed to learn from it. So if I make them write a type 3, then I can say, so the first thing you should do is, you know, summarize how they solve the problem. So then they know they're looking for that, or something like that. And then the second one could be use these 2 vocabulary words correctly, which a lot of times is a struggle in science, using vocab. So if you implement those type 3s, then students are constantly using vocabulary, but in a lot of different arenas, not just with videos, but could be with a lab report, it could be with a discussion with another student, it could be with anything.
All teachers can access with consistency the grade level, building wide FCAs. Teachers who especially are teaching multiple grade levels should really have those at their fingertips. Teachers in all content areas can know the FCAs that are developed per grade level based on how we see students developing as writers. Keeping that consistency among teachers and classrooms make this a no-brainer to use this revising strategy in every classroom.
If you're very unfamiliar with FCAs, make sure you find somebody you can collaborate with. That's a giant help. You know, most everybody here, everybody here will collaborate with you. Some are very open to it right off the bat. Some don't know that they're good collaborators, but if you can talk to anybody, you can make sure that they're helping you. And I always try to make sure that I feel that people are being helpful to me when I'm trying to help them. So the more I help them, they reciprocate, and they will help me no matter what. So I'm not a warm, outgoing person, but people will tend to respond well if you respond well to them. So if you want help, you better be willing to give help and assistance when you're asked. So
whatever the focus correction areas are, we have the students highlight those things in their writing. So say you had to use 2 direct quotes from the article that you read. We have the students highlight those 2 direct quotes, and then when we take them to grade them, we just have to skim through, pop right out, did they use that direct quote, or did they meet the requirements for the FCA, and it makes it really easy for the teacher.
I can't speak highly enough for FCAs. I'm still kind of learning. I have 3 different grade levels, so I can't always distinguish between one grade level and the other. But that's the process. Stick with it. I think FCAs are just as much a much growing pain in the teacher as you do the student. but it is worth it, and I'm finally starting to see the fruits of all that labor.